Many years ago, we were at the very first healthcare provider patient consumer board or advisory board for the European Medicines Agency with industry participation. And there were 3 companies at that point in time who said, we really want to go there and talk about how important it is to involve patients, because the patients were already there at EMA, the healthcare providers were there, we were not. And we had a really good session. It was a large meeting at this point in time. And then we continued the dialogue, and what we saw is it takes a long time to make progress. And so we wanted to push forward. And then we were just looking for some people who we knew, whether they came from academia, whether they came from the patient side or the industry side, and we wanted to move forward fast, like a speedboat, to be agile and nimble. And that was then ultimately how PFMD was born, to really move forward fast in a joint effort with a joint objective to develop this framework for patient engagement. When we started talking to each other, and you all know that who have been involved in the patient side of things, there's kind of crosses or fragmentation all over. The first one kind of talks about objectives. So when you think about our objectives, are they all aligned really? Do we really all have the same objectives about how and why we want to involve patients? The second one is the perspective, right? From which angle do I look at? What's my perspective when I involve patients? I would submit to you, if you really think about it from the different perspectives, we are not aligned yet at all. The third piece we found out very clearly, if you take one approach, it will not fit at all, because the life cycle will be so different, whether we go into early development, whether we go into late development, or products that are on the market or therapies, patient needs will be different. And so we had to look at this one. And the fourth one was also clear. When we started talking, there was not a single, to our knowledge, there was maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, initiative that was truly spanning across several geographies. So Europe did a different thing. Sometimes even a country or region in Europe did a different thing. But then, you know, if you talk North America and Europe together, there was a clear void. That's also something that drove us as we formed PFMD. And then if you want, the 5th one is a very interesting one. We'll talk a little bit about a paper that we'll publish very soon, a total lack of leadership. It's very interesting when you talk to the stakeholders. Most will say it's important, but when you look at who really wants to lead it, we found there was a clear void. This is how we kicked it off. We all wrote a paper. You can see the original members here. It was a pretty broad group, actually. In case you haven't seen it, you know, if you like, you can look it up. We basically said, this is a call to action. Whoever wants to join us, let's have a conversation, let's move together, and let's think about how we can do it. There's totally different opportunities. We work with all sorts of groups, whether they're members or not members. We have advisory boards. We have all sorts of forums to engage. This is really how it started, and you see the paper was published in 2015. And in a nutshell, what we said is what I just told you. So we all have kind of this goal, you know, we want to involve patients. But when you look at how many kind of paths and roads lead to Rome, this is totally uncoordinated. There's not one way. You lose so much kind of power, energy on this way. How nice would it be if we could get a few stakeholders to agree this is probably one way which works for all of us?